I took my husband's jobless cousin in during hard times. He repaid me by planting drugs in my car and calling CPS on me. "You don't deserve what you have," he whispered as they took my children away. But at his court hearing, he learned I had a voice recording that would turn the entire courtroom. I'm a 38-year-old mom of 2 from Garland, Texas. My name is Ray, and before all this happened, I had a simple, steady life. I ran a small daycare out of our home. Nothing big. Just a few neighborhood kids, licensed and inspected. I followed every rule because I couldn't afford not to. My husband Kyle worked long days in construction. He's the kind of man who doesn't say much, but you always know where he stands. We didn't have much growing up, either of us. So everything we built, we earned. Together. We never asked for handouts, which is why I said yes when Kyle's cousin Tyler showed up. I felt like I had to. It was late August when he called. Said he got kicked out of his girlfriend's place, that he was sleeping in his car behind a Waffle House in Waco. He sounded desperate. Said he just needed a place for a few weeks. He was Kyle's cousin on his mom's side, but they hadn't talked in years. Still, blood is blood. I told Kyle we couldn't just leave him out there. Kyle didn't love the idea. He warned me that Tyler had been a mess since they were teenagers. Drugs, trouble with the law, bounced from job to job. He's got something off in him, Kyle said. Like he's always mad about something. I should have listened. Tyler showed up 2 days later with nothing but a trash bag full of clothes, a crusty duffel bag, and the smell of someone who hadn't had a real shower in a week. He was in his early 30s but looked older. Greasy black hair, sunken cheeks, and a stare that went right through you. I tried to be warm. I cooked him meals, made up the guest room. I even gave him a prepaid Visa card with $60 on it so he could grab whatever he needed. I didn't want him feeling like a burden. He mostly kept to himself. He didn't offer to help with anything. Spent most of the day on the couch or out on the porch. Smoked constantly. Said he had a back injury, which I doubted. He never once tried to get a job. What stood out the most, though, was how he looked around our home. It wasn't admiration. It was resentment. I'd catch him staring at the kitchen like he hated the cabinets. Staring at our wedding photo like it offended him. One time, I was cleaning up the living room when he muttered just loud enough to hear, "Some people just have everything handed to them." I turned and looked at him. "Excuse me?" He shook his head. "Nothing." I told Kyle about it that night. He just rubbed his forehead and said, "He's always been like this. It's why no one in the family deals with him anymore." I should have kicked him out then. But I didn't want to be the kind of person who gives up on someone just because they're bitter. The daycare was going well. I was careful. Had cameras in the main playroom, logs for everything, and every parent knew me personally. I took pride in the fact that even though I worked from home, I ran things right. And then came the day everything fell apart. It was a Wednesday morning. I had just cleaned up from breakfast and was starting to set up the coloring table when someone knocked. 2 people. A man and a woman. Both wearing ID badges around their necks. They said they were from Child Protective Services. Said they had gotten a tip. Alleged drug use. Said it came from someone who sounded credible and that it involved children being present around narcotics. I stood there frozen. I told them it wasn't true. I told them I ran a licensed daycare. I told them they could come in, search everything. They did. Then they asked to check my vehicle. I didn't see the harm. I handed them my keys. I'll never forget the look on the woman's face when she came back holding a plastic baggie. Inside it were 3 smaller baggies filled with white powder. She held them up like they were a bomb. They said it was found behind the passenger seat, in the side compartment. I don't use drugs. Never have. I told them to test me. I begged them to test me on the spot. Didn't matter. They told me they had to remove the kids under emergency order. Including my own. My kids. They cried. I begged. I screamed. I told them I was being set up. That something was wrong. And in the middle of all of this, I looked up and saw Tyler standing by the hallway. Watching. He didn't say a word. Just lit a cigarette. Then, as they carried my daughter out the door, he walked past me and leaned in close. "You don't deserve what you have," he said. I wanted to rip his throat out. But I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't work. My chest felt like it was caving in. My daughter was screaming, "Mommy! Mommy!" And I couldn't do anything. After they left, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried until I threw up. When Kyle got home and I told him what happened, he was shaking with rage. He kept asking, "Where is he? Where the hell is he?" Tyler was gone by then. Left without a word. Took the duffel bag and disappeared. That's when I remembered something. 2 weeks before all this happened, I had ordered a small hidden nanny cam online. It looked like a Bluetooth speaker. I wanted to use it to help train the girl I was considering hiring as a backup assistant. I had set it on the kitchen shelf and forgot about it. I prayed it was still recording. I opened the SD card on my laptop and started scrubbing through footage. That's when I found it. It was from 4 nights before the CPS visit. Tyler was in the kitchen, talking on the phone. He didn't know he was being recorded. He laughed. Said, "Yeah man, daycare bitch walks around like she's perfect. Got the nice house, the pretty little life. I fixed that. Dropped a couple grams in her car yesterday, called child services this morning. She won't know what hit her." I must have listened to that clip 10 times. I was shaking. That recording saved me. But I didn't know it yet. We called a lawyer that night. Took the footage to the police. Filed an official report. Showed CPS everything. But even with the evidence, the process was slow. It took 3 months for charges to be filed against Tyler. And during that time, my life was hell. CPS still had to do their own full investigation. I was shut down from taking care of any kids. Our income tanked. My kids were placed temporarily with my sister in Plano. I could only see them under supervision for 2 hours a week. Tyler ruined my name, my business, my family, all because he was bitter. But eventually, the truth started to come out. And when his court date was finally set, I made sure I was there. Front row. Tyler walked in like he didn't have a care in the world. Until they played that recording. And everything changed. The courtroom went silent when the audio played. Everyone, jury, judge, the DA, even Tyler's own public defender, just stared. You could hear every word he said. His voice was clear. His laugh made my stomach turn. He admitted it all, planting the drugs, calling CPS, and doing it out of pure hate. He looked over at me when the recording ended. For the first time, he looked nervous. The DA stood up and said, "Your Honor, this recording not only proves malicious intent, it also shows premeditation. The defendant committed these acts to destroy the life of a woman who offered him a place to stay. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a setup." Tyler's lawyer asked for a short recess. I could see him whispering something angrily to Tyler. Probably asking him why the hell he never mentioned the recording. The judge granted the recess, and they were both rushed out of the room. I sat there gripping the edge of the bench, hands shaking. It should have felt like a win. But it didn't. Not yet. Because my kids were still gone. Because my daycare license was still frozen. Because no one gave me an apology for what I'd already lost. When court started back up, Tyler's lawyer tried to paint him as mentally unstable. Said he was dealing with past trauma, poverty, addiction, and that he wasn't in his right mind. They even tried blaming me, said maybe I made him feel inferior, that I flaunted my life in front of someone who had nothing. The judge shut that down fast. "This isn't about envy," she said. "This is about a man who weaponized the system to punish someone who helped him. This is not mental illness. This is cruelty." I finally felt something in that moment. Not joy. Not peace. Just the beginning of justice. But it wasn't over yet. That night, I got a phone call. Blocked number. I answered anyway. It was Tyler's older brother, Lance. I hadn't seen him in years. "Ray," he said, "I'm sorry about all this. I heard what happened in court today." I didn't say anything. I was waiting for him to ask me to drop the charges or something. But he didn't. Instead, he said, "There's something you don't know. About Tyler. About what he's done before." My heart started pounding. "He did the same thing to a woman in Lubbock a few years ago," he said. "Different setup, same game. She worked at a school. He planted pills in her purse and made an anonymous report. She got fired. Lost her license. She moved away. Never knew who did it." My mouth went dry. "Why didn't anyone say anything?" I asked. Lance sighed. "Because he's family. And no one had proof. I only found out after she told my mom what she suspected. I didn't believe it then. But after what you just exposed, I do now." I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed. It wasn't just me. He had done this before. He had a pattern. I called my lawyer the next morning. I told her everything Lance said. She looked into it. Found the woman in Lubbock. Her name was Carla, and when we reached out, she cried on the phone. She thought she was crazy for years. She agreed to submit a statement to the court. That added another twist to the case, one that the prosecutor loved. It proved Tyler wasn't just a one-time offender. He had a history. And then something even more unexpected happened. CPS called me. They said they had finished their investigation. Not only was I cleared, but they were issuing a formal apology. The caseworker who removed my children wanted to speak to me personally. I didn't care about the apology. I just wanted my kids home. When I picked them up from my sister's house, I expected them to be angry or confused. But they ran to me like they'd never let go. We cried. All of us. Even Kyle, who rarely ever tears up. I thought maybe, just maybe, things would calm down. But then I got another surprise. Someone broke into our garage. They didn't steal anything. They just smashed the windshield of my van and wrote "bitch" in spray paint on the side. Cops believed it was someone connected to Tyler. Maybe a friend. Maybe someone from his past. The DA filed for a protective order. It didn't scare me. It just made me more determined to see this all the way through. I thought Tyler hitting rock bottom in court was the worst he could do. I was wrong. Because next week, during another court session, a woman stood up in the back row of the courtroom while Tyler was being led out. She screamed, "You ruined my life too." The bailiff escorted her out, but not before she shouted her name, Amanda. I remembered the name from one of the CPS files that was briefly referenced. She was another one of Tyler's anonymous targets. He had destroyed her too. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was war. And I wasn't going to stop until every person who let this man slip through the cracks was exposed. Amanda's outburst in court shook the room. The judge banged her gavel hard and ordered a 10-minute recess. But no one was focused on the trial anymore. All eyes followed Amanda as she was led out, yelling that Tyler had ruined her job, her reputation, and that nobody believed her. I didn't know her, but I knew exactly how she felt. I turned to the DA as everyone shuffled around, and asked if they could talk to her, see if she'd file a statement like Carla had. He nodded and sent someone after her. Later that week, Amanda agreed to go on record. Her story was just as bad as mine. She worked at a doctor's office in Tyler, Texas. She'd let Tyler sleep on her couch for a month after he lost his job. One day, pills were discovered in the office supply drawer under her name badge. An anonymous tip got her fired before she could even explain. She moved to East Texas and never spoke about it again, until she heard Tyler's name on the news during my case. Now we had 3 victims. Tyler wasn't just a bitter loser. He was a calculated predator. He targeted women who helped him. Women who had something to lose. But here's where things got even messier. A week before the final sentencing hearing, my lawyer called me in for a sit-down. She looked tense. "There's something you need to see," she said. She slid a copy of a motion across the table. It was from Tyler's defense attorney. They were moving to declare Tyler mentally unfit to stand sentencing. I couldn't believe it. After all this, they were playing the insanity card. He's claiming he has paranoid delusions, my lawyer said. That he thought you were poisoning him, that the kids were robots, and that CPS was a government agency spying on him. I just stared at her. None of that was in the original defense, I said. Because it's a Hail Mary, she replied. He's trying to avoid prison time. If the judge agrees, he'll go to a state psych hospital. Maybe a few years. Maybe less. My stomach turned. I told her to fight it with everything we had. But Tyler wasn't done screwing with me. That same night, we found a letter taped to our front door. No stamp. No envelope. Just folded notebook paper taped to the glass with a strip of duct tape. It was in Tyler's handwriting. It said, "You think this is over? The system doesn't care about you. They'll forget. But I won't. You took from me. You deserve everything that's coming." I showed it to the police. They added it to the file, but since Tyler was in custody awaiting his psych evaluation, they said it was unlikely he delivered it himself. So who did? That question haunted me for days. Until the neighbor across the street, Mr. Hendricks, a retired Air Force guy, came over with his ring cam footage. He said he saw a stranger walk up to our door around 2:14 a.m. and stick something to the glass. It was a woman. Mid-30s, hoodie, quick steps, looking around like she knew she shouldn't be there. We froze the frame. Kyle stared at it for a long time, then said, "That's his ex. From Waco. The one he said dumped him." So it wasn't just Tyler. He had help. Possibly more than one person who still believed in his story. That scared me more than anything else. This wasn't about one man anymore. This was about all the people who let someone like Tyler convince them the world owed him something. The DA requested an extension to dig into the woman in the footage. The judge agreed. And that's when the biggest twist hit. While reviewing Tyler's call logs and messages from jail, investigators found a number he kept contacting. It was tied to a burner phone. After a little digging, they linked it back to my former assistant, Kelly, the young woman I had been training before the daycare shut down. The one I thought ghosted me when things fell apart. Turns out, she and Tyler had been seeing each other on and off before he ever moved into our home. She never told me. She was feeding him information the whole time, my schedule, when I left the house, where I kept my car keys. My jaw hit the floor. I trusted her. She had held my daughter's hand, helped clean up finger paints, read storybooks. And she helped him set me up. The DA told me they were preparing to arrest her as a co-conspirator. 2 days later, they did. She cried on the news cameras, said she didn't mean for it to go that far. I didn't even feel anger at that point. Just disbelief. How many people knew what Tyler was doing? How many stood by? Or helped? As all this unfolded, I started to realize something important. I wasn't the one on trial anymore. Tyler was. And now, so were the people who protected him. And justice, real justice, was starting to take shape. The morning of Tyler's final hearing, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. My face looked older than it did a year ago. My eyes had lost some light. But there was something else there now, steel. I had survived the worst year of my life. And I wasn't showing up to court as a victim. I was there for war. The courtroom was packed. News outlets, reporters, local parents, and even a few strangers who had followed the case online filled the benches. The judge sat up straight and serious. She didn't look like she was in the mood for games. Tyler was brought in wearing a beige jumpsuit. Hands cuffed, but still trying to look calm. But the moment our eyes met, I could tell he felt it. His grip on control was gone. Before sentencing, the judge allowed statements from the victims. Carla went first. She told the room how Tyler destroyed her teaching career, how her name was still tied to rumors she never got to defend. She held up a box of old student thank you cards and said, "He took this from me. I'll never get back the kids I never got to teach. Then Amanda spoke. She explained how she fell into depression after losing her job and was one step away from taking her own life. He didn't just lie, she said. He broke something in me that took years to rebuild. Then it was my turn. I stood up. My knees were shaking. But I didn't let my voice crack. I took him in, I said. I fed him, clothed him, gave him shelter. He looked my children in the eye and still planted drugs to have them ripped from my arms. He tried to ruin me for no reason except hate. Then I pulled out a small box and set it on the witness stand. Inside were the daycare keys, my business license, and a family photo. I almost threw these away, I told the judge. But I kept them. Because I want my kids to grow up knowing that when someone tried to destroy our life, we didn't fold. We fought. The judge nodded slowly. Then it was time for Tyler's lawyer to speak. He asked for leniency. He said Tyler had a rough life. Said prison wouldn't fix what was broken inside him. Said he needed mental help. The judge didn't flinch. I've seen manipulative people, she said. But Mr. Sandler is in a class of his own. He doesn't need help. He needs consequences. She sentenced him to 42 years in state prison. No parole before 28. Charges included felony false reporting, child endangerment, tampering with evidence, conspiracy, and witness intimidation. But she wasn't done. She also ordered that he pay full restitution to me, Carla, Amanda, and anyone else found to be involved in his other schemes. She asked CPS and the DA to open investigations into previous reports made by him in any Texas county going back 10 years. I cried. Not because it was over. But because someone finally believed us enough to take him down. But karma wasn't finished with the others. Kelly, my former assistant, was convicted of felony conspiracy and obstruction. Turns out she'd also stolen money from the daycare cash drawer before she disappeared. She got 5 years. Her plea deal spared her worse, but her name was now tied to the case forever. The woman in the Ring camera footage? Her name was Tracy. She'd been in and out of Tyler's life for years. The cops found burner phones and a set of blank IDs in her car. She was working as a part-time courier and had helped Tyler contact people from jail. She got 3 years in county for aiding a felon and violating court orders. CPS, under pressure from public backlash, fired 2 caseworkers for failing to properly vet the anonymous report. They offered me a public apology on live TV. It didn't mean much. But it was something. And the daycare? I reopened it 6 months after Tyler was sentenced. My license was reinstated, and thanks to the media coverage, I had more families asking to enroll than I could handle. I renamed it Rising Roots, because we don't forget where we come from, but we grow anyway. Kyle and I went to therapy. The stress had changed us, but we stuck it out. He finally opened up about the guilt he felt for letting Tyler in, for not protecting us from the start. I told him we were all tricked. But we wouldn't be fooled again. And my kids? They're okay now. We talked through everything. They know the truth, in a way they can understand. They still flinch when they see a police car drive by. But we're healing. As for me? I took one final step. I mailed Tyler a letter. No threats. No anger. Just a photo of my new daycare sign, a list of the kids enrolled, and a short note: "You tried to destroy everything I built. But you made me stronger. Enjoy your cage." I never got a reply. Didn't need one. Because Tyler's cage wasn't just made of concrete and bars, it was made of every lie, every cruel move, every person he used. And it all came crashing down. He's in a cell now, forgotten by most. But I remember. And I'm still standing.